I stuck my mic on the spanner magnets. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you had a great Christmas and New Year. It should be New Year's Day today, so yeah, a bit of viewing for your hangover in the afternoon. Today's episode, we're going to be working on the CUB, but I'm going to do this as kind of a how-to. I'm going to start prepping the tank for paint. So yeah, it's prepping metalwork, but essentially it's the same for metal and plastic. Like there'll be a couple of different materials, but the steps and the processes are exactly the same. So yeah, we're going to be in primer by the end of today, ready for our base coats, which I haven't got yet. I'm waiting for them to be delivered. So we'll start off with the tank, which I think I've already said. Did I say that? I probably said that. Like, you know. We'll start off with the tank in this... Oh, fuck it. All right. So, yeah, welcome back, everybody. Hope you had a great Christmas and New Year. We're back in the workshop. It's cold, but not that cold today. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to make a start on prepping the tank for paint. Now, I'm going to do this as kind of almost like a tutorial because this will apply to most of your metalwork projects. A lot of people out there, the paint stage scares them or puts them off thinking you need special this, special that. You can get a banging paint job on small or big things if you break it down properly and you do your prep properly. So hopefully by the end of today, we'll be in primer and ready for our first base coat, which should be here over the next few days. So yeah, without further ado, let's get on with it. So I'm going to use a combination of my two favourite paint removal tools to do this. There should be a link here to the video about paint removal. A trusty old DeWalt. Probably shouldn't be using that because it's quite a nice drill. And obviously they're not designed for side load. But I need to grab a cheap cordless. So yeah, let's crack on with this. So I'm going to use the fibre wheel for the bulk of the paint removal. And then the brass wire wheel and brass cup, which if I'll need it, I'll have in the drawer to remove all the crap from the underside. And as per usual, I've got a tiny bit of welding to do in here, but I won't bore you lot with that. I'll get all the paint off first and then I'll weld that up off camera. And I think there's a tiny little bit on the back. In the case of this tank, because the paint's compromised in places, the paint does have to come off. I just want to make sure there's nothing underneath it. If the paint wasn't damaged or it was just damaged paint and there was no like rust blooms, I'd be able to key it, prep it and paint over the top. But in this case, it's got to go back to bare metal. There is actually a third case. If I was going to coat this in a proper two-part epoxy mastic and then work from that, because it'd seal all the rust in, I wouldn't have to do this. But in this case, like I said, let's get it back to bare metal. So I've switched over to wire wheel just to get in all these little places. The underside, I got in there with a wire wheel and it's a ball ache. There's no way for me to clamp this thing down. So what I'm going to do, enter trusty ProXL's water-based rust remover. This stuff is awesome. I've used it a bunch of times. Got an old baking tray that's literally just garage shit. Got to soak it in that, and then yeah, go from there. Great thing about this stuff is it's reusable. So once you're done with it, pour it back in the bottle, and then you can use it again and again and again. In fact, this has already been used, I think. So yeah, just submerge the area, the part, dunk it, let it sit. Yeah, wicked. And it fits. So it's been about 14 hours. Like, I should leave it 24, but I need to get this done. So let's have a look. I mean, that's a huge difference. Absolutely huge difference. Let's get this out of the way. Show you properly. Oddly smells like caramel. Or maybe that's just me having a stroke. No doubt, if I'd have left this 24 hours, 30 hours, it'd have pretty much all come off. But the good thing now is there isn't much to remove. So I'm going to get all this cleaned off and move on to the next step. Right, that didn't actually take that long. I don't know whether it softens it or whatever it does, but that stuff's great. So yeah, clean everything up now. I'm going to dry it off. There's a little bit of welding under here. I need to get in there, get that welded up. And then we can start off with a high zinc primer. So all the random little bits of welding are done now. Time to give it a key. 180 grit, 240 grit, don't really matter, just key it. So I'm actually going to use 120 grit. Key it all, and then zinc primer. And then once I've done the zinc primer, I'll let that kick, and then I can do any sort of like ding or dent repair using some filler. Then it'll be a high build primer, and then go from there. So, being the odd shape that it is, it makes sense to get this area painted first. So yeah, what we're going to use, let's go grab some paint. Right, found it. So normally I'd be using a ProXL product, but I don't have any. But I've used this Halford's anti-rust zinc primer in the past. It's really good stuff. So first thing, shake your can, everyone knows that. Also, this has been degreased and cleaned post keying. I've used acetone on it as well, so yeah, there's no schmutz on it. I mean, seeing how straightforward that was, there's a million ways to skin a cat, and there'll be people that go, should have done this, should have done that. Well, I didn't. I did it that way. Not the first thing I've painted. So hopefully that inspires you guys to just pick up a can and paint your projects. Like, you know, there's going to be other stages that will use the compressor, but there's something I want to try out at some point. Can you apply a clear coat with a brush? Funny. And then flat it. All right, so yeah, that'll be an experiment for down the line. So that's it for this week's episode. Made a nice bit of progress on that tank. Doesn't actually need much sort of like filler work, just a bit of blending around the bits I've welded on, just to give it that sculpted 70s look. I'm about 99% sure what I'm doing with the paint. So yeah, that'll be something for the new year. So yeah, again, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you've had a great Christmas and year overall. And yeah, catch you soon for some more episodes.